This is John Henry Weston for LifeSite News. Today is the March for Life, and thousands of pro-lifers are in Washington, D.C. to witness to the sanctity of life and the dignity of every unborn baby in the womb. The March for Life is a great experience. It's full of joyful pro-lifers encouraging one another and showing the world what it means to be pro-life. Nonetheless, it can be something of a hairy experience. You know, we all know that the enemies of the unborn are unpredictable. They can even be violent, even towards people on a peaceful march like this. So, it's not surprising that Catholic marchers met in the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception last night, as they do every vigil before the March for Life, for the Holy Sacrifice of Mass, and for a prayer vigil in preparation for the following day. But while they were inside, praying before the Blessed Sacrament for unborn babies, for the scarred mothers and fathers who feel that they have no choice or who are crippled by physical or mental wounds caused by abortions, for those politicians who are standing up for all the victims, and for strength for the weak ones of those politicians who know they should be doing it but are too afraid to do so. So while they were in there doing all of this, what do you think the cynical pro-abortion group so-called Catholics for Choice were doing? They were projecting, as you can see behind me, projecting giant pro-abortion messages onto the Basilica itself. Take a look at what they're saying. 1 in 4 abortion patients are Catholic. Pro-choice Catholics, you are not alone. There was even Catholics for Choice imposed in the symbol of a cross. It's sick and cynical and blasphemous. Ashley Wilson, who's the director of communications for this group, Catholics for Choice, they call themselves, explained their actions on Twitter. She said, "I am tired of feeling shame and stigma for being a pro-choice Catholic." She said, "And I'm not here for people to judge my own personal relationship with God," she said. And she added, we want pro-choice Catholics to know this is your church too. Okay, first of all, she says, "I'm tired of feeling shame of us judging your personal relationship with God." What are you talking about? Ashley, this is not about you. We are actually not here to make you feel shame or judge you at all. We're not witnessing against individuals, but for the unborn babies who are innocents in the womb. Let's remember that they are the weakest and most vulnerable members of the human family. They are treated with total disregard, killed in a variety of different ways by a medical industrial complex, and their own organs and cells are harvested for this or that sick experiment. Murder is, according to the Bible, one of the 4 sins that cries to heaven for vengeance. And we are here asking God to forgive the murderers, to end the killing, and to witness that at least some people are not okay with murder. You say you feel ashamed, and you feel that what we're doing is judging your relationship with God. Ashley, that is your conscience speaking. It's the voice of your conscience, which is actually a gift from God, calling you to the truth, to life, to salvation. And in rejecting it and trying to externalize it and foist blame for it on pro-lifers, it's not the answer for you, and it won't bring you peace either. Peace can only come from God and from embracing Him and His truth. I don't want to compare the church to other religions, nor compare pretty basic natural law of not killing the innocent with religious dietary requirements, but what these people have done is on a similar level to projecting Jews for pork or Muslims for beer onto their respective places of worship. Can you imagine if that happened? Putting aside all questions of religious faith, just basic decency wouldn't do that. You know, Ed Condon of the Pillar Catholic, he commented on this saying, "A political campaign group uses religious building to mock the church and the beliefs of the people keeping vigil inside. Classy," he said. But when you're advocating killing of unborn babies, I suppose all class and basic decency have already long gone. And as for the idea, pro-choice Catholics, it's your church too. Well, no, dear friends. It's Christ's church. He said, on this rock I will build my church. When Saul was persecuting the Christians, Christ said, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It's not your church. It's not my church. It's not even pro-lifers' church either. It's Christ's church. And if we want to be members of it, as the theology goes, we have to externally profess the Catholic faith. And those who publicly fail to do so sever themselves from the church. That's called heresy. Pius XII, Pope Saint Pius XII, taught that clearly in his encyclical called Mystici Corporis Christi. Go look it up. And it was in every child's catechism. That's even easier to look up. So we have seen reports that a man came out of the cathedral and started remonstrating with these people. He told them that there was no such thing as a pro-choice Catholic, and reportedly he described hell to these people in detail. What's perfectly clear is that these people are not Catholics in any way except that they claim the name. So, good for that man in coming out and asking in righteous anger, he said, quote, honestly, are there any Catholics here? Indeed. Would any Catholic vandalize the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in this way? Sure, it's not spray paint and no cleanings required, but it's graffiti all the same. And it's a church. It's a sacrilege. St. Thomas Aquinas says sacrilege is an irreverence done to sacred things, and that, as such, it's an injury done to God himself. I'd say that's a pretty good description of exactly what happened here. As our friend Bishop Strickland of Tyler, Texas said, and I quote, if this is real, it's an atrocity. Support of murder projected on the shrine of the Immaculate Conception. I pray that it's a fake photo, photoshopped for evil purposes. If it is real, it's horrible, and even faking it is evil, end quote. And that's from Bishop Strickland's Twitter feed. Of course, we can see by the images you see behind me, and indeed wasn't photoshopped, and there's video of it as well. But let's also remember in all of this, we must pray for the conversion of these misguided people who may be more or less conscious of the evil that they're supporting. They aren't the great architects of this wickedness. Behind it is the devil, Satan, the enemy of the human race. But he isn't just the enemy of the human race. He's the enemy of the Blessed Virgin Mary, she who crushes his head. How, according to the Church, does she do this most particularly? Actually, through her Immaculate Conception. She was redeemed by Christ in advance, in a sense, by being preserved from original sin. And so the devil has never had any part in her, and he hates her for it with an angelic passion. So, friends, if you ever find yourselves thinking that it might be a good idea to desecrate a basilica named in honor of the Immaculate Conception by projecting mass murder, pro-murder, anti-Catholic messages onto it, maybe just pause and wonder where that idea came from, or rather, who that idea came from. It didn't come from a good angel. For LifeSite News, this is John Henry Weston, and may God bless you.